It's the Sports Peninsula podcast coming up. We're talking about the sweet science yet again as we go back to April 20th, 2024 and look at the stunning upset of Devin Haney at the hands of Ryan Garcia. Michael Big Chops Mills joins us to discuss this great super lightweight matchup. There was a tremendous amount of drama leading up to this one, and now with Garcia landing the majority decision victory, what is next for both fighters, and do we have more questions now than we did before the fight? We're here to break it all down next. Now here's your Sports Peninsula team. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sports Peninsula podcast. My name is Dave Drzezinski-Drew, and indeed, we probably have more questions than answers after the fight on April 20th between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. And joining me to talk about that and more is our good friend, Michael Big Chops Mills. Chops, it's been a while, man. How's it been?
I know. It's good to be back. Good to be back talking boxing. You know, I'm a big combat sports guy, so I am ready for this one, Jack. Ready.
Man, before we jump into this, so what have you been up to, man? It's been a while.
Man, you know, just trying to maintain, doing my thing. Part of a podcast called the Original Sports Podcast. Man, you can literally catch us on wherever you download your favorite podcast. You can catch us again, the Original Sports Podcast, Original Sports Podcast with Mark Maraday and a barbershop crew. We call ourselves. We're actually even on Roku, a Roku channel. I'll be honest with you, I'm not big into electronics. It's hard for me, so I'm not exactly sure what station, but if you also look us up on the Original Sports Podcast with Mark Maraday, you can find us there. Twitter, man, we're just doing everything, talking sports, you know, getting into playoffs. We were heavy on the draft. I'm not as big into the draft as those guys are, you know what I mean? But I was able to hold my own. But I'm ready for this, man. You know me in the combat sports. I'm ready, Jack.
Yeah, we spent a good 10 weeks covering the draft all the way up to it. Man, in Detroit here, I didn't get to go to the draft. Coach Shield got to go to the draft, and he said it was amazing. I got to meet Billy Sims, got to meet DeMar Hamlin, which was awesome. But man, I was down there about a week beforehand, just seeing how it was prepping up, and I was like, wow, this could be amazing. It really was. It was very, very cool for the city. It was really cool. 775,000 people.
I couldn't imagine. Now they're trying to have it in Pittsburgh. I don't know where they're going to have it, man, to hold that many. I don't know where they're going to have it, but we're going to be showing up. Believe that.
Well, I think a couple of things came into play. I mean, we'll give them the boxing first. One, Detroit's a huge sports town, but two, there's probably 8 cities, including Pittsburgh, that are under 10 hours away drive-wise, and many like Chicago and Indianapolis and Cleveland and Cincinnati, all 4 hours or less. So those are big fan bases that could all get there too. But
absolutely.
Plenty of Honolulu blue and silver to represent, so we're ready to go.
I got you.
We saw some terrible towels there too. So
no question. And like you said, Pittsburgh is a football town. Like you said, so many other cities that are within driving distance. You know what I mean? So of course you're gonna have in Pittsburgh, your Bengals fans, your Ravens fans, your Browns fans. It'll be phenomenal. It'll be hectic. It'll be ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that would be really cool. Definitely. All right, man. Let's get into it, Chops, man. Ryan Garcia, I mean, pulls off the upset against Devin Haney, and I mean, I'll be honest. We certainly here on our podcast we had Haney winning. I wouldn't say handily, but I didn't have a lot of doubt. And I'll be honest, this is the first fight I missed pretty badly in recent time. I don't think a lot of people, other than true Garcia fans, really thought he was going to win this fight, but damn if he didn't, Chops. You're just at face value. What did you think of the fight overall?
Well, first off, I think only Garcia's mama bet on him. Exactly. I'm not calling it Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson, but everything that led up to it, it had that type of feel. On the aspect of that major of an upset, everything that led up to it. And mind blown. But as you're saying, we have more questions than answers. I also am going to hit you with some questions that maybe not even what you were really thinking of, but will make you think in a different aspect. You know what I mean? So, you know, just stay with me, because we're getting into it. I'm ready.
I'm ready too, man. I can't wait. Talking about this fight, and I'm going to show the scorecard that our Detroit's finest Justin Miracle and myself had, because we watched the fight together, and we agreed. We had it 114-110. That's an odd score, and one of the judges had it that way. And reason being, with Garcia getting docked the point in round 7 for the punch after the clinch. And also the 3 knockdowns were, so there were 2 10-8 rounds and a 9-8 round in essence, which is why the scoring is a little quirky. But I'll be honest, Chops, man. I mean, I know this was a majority decision, but I had it 7 rounds to 5, but the 7 rounds Garcia won for the most part were convincing. But I was telling you before we start recording, I had Haney up 4 rounds to 1 after 5. And to me, that's how the fight changed. How did you see it?
I had it the same way. Now, to be honest with you, I had Haney, I had it at 112. And here's why. Because I had the rounds where he didn't get hit with that left or knocked down. Most of those, I had Haney winning. But the first round, he didn't get knocked down, but he did get knocked down. Or was it the second round he got hurt? One of the rounds he got hurt, but didn't get knocked down. And it was a 10-9 clearly. But the other ones where he got knocked down, it is where I, of course, you had to go the 10-8. But I had it at 112 because I thought the rounds that he didn't get knocked down, I thought Haney won them, outboxed him, whatever have you. But I had it at 112 each.
Now I can see that. And initially, when I first heard that scorecard from one of the judges, I just kind of rolled my eyes. But then I was like, wait a minute. There were 2 rounds that, and to your point, he didn't land that left hook. They were super close. And neither fighter seemed super busy. So I could see how those rounds could go either way. Without question.
And on those rounds, I went to the champ only because in boxing, to me, I'm old school. To be the champ, you have to beat the champ. So if nothing happens in those rounds and it's pretty dead even, I normally go with the champ only because you have to take it from him. You know what I mean? He can coast to keep it if that need be. You know what I mean? But I'm the believer in, you want that belt from the champ, you have to take it. So
I'll be honest with you, that makes perfect sense. And I agree with that. For the most part, I absolutely. What the reason I didn't score it that way was those rounds tended to follow big rounds from Garcia. So my mentality was, well, Haney didn't really do a lot to bounce back, and Garcia kind of held serve.
I can see that.
That was my thought process. But I get it. It wasn't a lopsided fight. But then when you look at what happened, to say that someone got knocked down 3 times, that's where I'm
I know. I get it. I get it. Because once you get 3 times, you hear 3 times, you've lost. You know what I mean? So I get it. I couldn't complain about the decision. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Here, this was an interesting picture you sent us about a day after the fight, and it's interesting because on the right we see Ryan Garcia, literally almost a year to the day before the fight when he fought Tank Davis. Same weight class a year later. Look at King Rye there. Now, I mean, we know he missed weight by 3.2 pounds, but I don't know, Chops. What do you think here? What's going on?
Well, first off, I'm just looking at his physique. Look at those shoulder caps. Look at him dealt. But here's what else I was thinking. At the time when he fought Davis, when he fought Tank, people were Tank was getting a little flack. We have to have the rehydration clause. And he caught flack for that. Why are you scared? Why are you worried about it? This is why his team and his camp said rehydration clause. He knew something a lot of us didn't know, because I was one of those guys. What's it matter? What's it matter? But now I see the difference. It's crazy. It's crazy. That is genetically altered much. It was ridiculous, man. Almost seriously. If I tell you that guy fought, what did they fight? 140? Mm-hmm. How does that guy on the left make 140? How I have no idea. But when I saw that, I said I had to send it to you. I had to send it to you, Drew. Had to.
Just really, I mean, just crazy. And then, going into this fight, Chops, there was, I mean, it got more and more heated. It was building up, which you expect, a lot of gamesmanship. But man, Garcia was saying some crazy stuff, and it was getting physical. And then Haney's dad spouting off, and Garcia. I mean, they're literally going to kill each other. I mean, and they certainly fought hard. But I mean, I just thought something was off.
And that's where I lost the gamesmanship, because when Haney Haney's dad was going off and whatever. What are you doing, man? That's not you. You're a professional. Your son's got the belt. That's not how you conduct yourself. Number one. But with Garcia and his social media post and what he was doing and going on and carrying on with, literally, because remember we spoke, I was like, in our text, I was like, fellas, if his camp loves him and they care about him, they can't let this man fight. His mind is not in the right place. It's not. But thought about this, and you get a two-part question. Number one, they say the greatest trick ever pulled was the devil making people believe he didn't exist. So I ask, because a lot of us said, well, Haney fooled us, or excuse me, Ryan fooled us all, Garcia fooled us all. Oh, he was more than ready to fight. Maybe, but also in the same token, not the fact that you miss weight. You miss weight to a person in the street. 3.2 pounds means nothing. 3 point. But in boxing, at that level, that's big time. That's not his first weight cut. So on the aspect, it was like he fooled everybody. He was taking this serious. He was training, whatever have you. Because he used to say, don't worry about what I'm doing on social media. Worry about what I'm going to do in the ring. And I get that. But you didn't come into shape. Or excuse me, you didn't come in weight. You were in shape, but you didn't make weight. It'd have been different if he'd have come out wearing a fat suit, making people think he was heavy. And then when he weighed in, he made it. You know what I mean? But he gets on the scale, Drew, drinking a beer. I don't care if it was water in the beer bottle. I don't care. But he got on the scale drinking something, knowing you're already overweight. So that to me says your mind still wasn't where it should have been, to me. You know what I mean? I don't know. What were your thoughts on it?
I harken back to about 10 years before I was born to Mr. Muhammad Ali when he fought Sonny Liston for the world championship. And he acted crazy.
Yeah.
And Liston thought he was crazy. Well, crazy like a fox. I mean,
yes.
He knew what he was doing. And I'm not comparing Garcia to Ali, trust me, but
it's the antics.
The antics and the tactic. I saw that. Now I agree with you. If you're truly trying to make weight, I don't care if it's beer or if it's water. You're doing everything you can to get every ounce of moisture out of your body to make weight. That was just blatant. And I mean, I call me like old school, whatever. But I mean, it's like at least respect the fight, because they could have called the fight.
And the crazy part is he already knew, because you realize, they weigh in hours before it's televised.
Oh yeah.
So he already knew he was overweight. Then he still comes in and disrespects by drinking whatever was in the bottle. That to me, man, where it was, you may not have been as crazy as you portrayed in social media, but mentally you still weren't where you should have been, or should I say respected the sport, respected your craft the way you should have. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's where I had an issue with it. Not a big one. I'm not a Garcia fan, and you know that. Yeah. Anyone that's watched this talk boxing, I don't really like him. I respect his ability,
his skill set. His skill set before Tank, I respected his skill set. He's been in Twitter wars before. We know this. Yeah. But it was when he wasn't fighting. He wasn't setting up a fight. You know what I mean? So I was shocked to see that going into a fight he was having.
Yeah, and we did a preview of the fight prior to, and again, we picked Haney to win. Most people did. But the keys to victory in our mind, Chops, and weigh in on these if you would. Really thought Haney had to be very busy with the jab, and he had to stick and move and not fight Garcia toe to toe. That didn't happen. I respect his toughness, but again, I think back to the Joshua Ruiz fight. The one way you don't want to fight Andrew Ruiz is toe to toe in the middle of the ring. So that's what he did. And I kind of felt like this happened here. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to give you a little pushback on the Ruiz Joshua, because Joshua was never in the predicament that Haney was. And Haney lost the first round, but it was an overhand right in that first round, wasn't it? It was an overhand right that stumbled him. Okay. Mm-hmm. He collects his bearings. Then he starts coming out, and like I said, won the next 4 rounds, because it was 4-1 at the 5. Okay, so he was doing all those things. However, when he got caught, 6th round was the first one, when he got caught with that crisp left, I mean, it was crisp.
Yeah, it was.
I think he realized I can't deal with that power. And I'm just being honest with you. As much weight that Garcia put on, I don't think, because fellas, here's the thing, as we talked about it, Drew, not only did he put on significant weight, Garcia, he didn't lose speed. He did not lose speed. So that was like, geez, is that even normal weight? We don't know how, but so I think he wasn't able to stick with the jab, stick and move, go to the body. He was knocked down and he was hurt. Things that had never happened in his career. We had thought he had a suspect chin because he had been, in other fights, but he was never in the trouble that he was in with that first left hook sat on his tail. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think what Tyson said, everybody got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And I think once he tasted that power, game plan out. Here's my question. Mm-hmm. I had him in my top 5. Maybe you don't, but he's in everybody's top 10.
Oh, yeah.
Haney was pound for pound. Had to be.
Yeah.
But he never adjusted to that left hook. Do you realize that every time Garcia threw it, he landed and he punished him. He made him pay for it. He didn't, it wasn't even like he was holding his hand up. His team didn't adjust at all. That shocked me. You expect that from a guy maybe in his 4th, 5th pro fight or in a big step up of competition, not from the champ. We saw no game plan. Not to me. I didn't see any tactical difference in it. Did you?
No, and you're spot on. That he was, even after that first left hit, he consistently had his guard down. His right hand was he never kept it up. It was always down, and it was wide open for the left hook. And that's Garcia's bread and butter right there.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like you knew that was his one punch. And I don't even say one punch, but you knew that was his best punch.
Yeah. And
coming into it, I don't know in the first round if you were guarded so highly against it that he was able to land a right hook unexpected or the right overhand right unexpectedly. That's what wobbled you. I don't know. And then you got comfortable in the next 4 rounds and you were starting to do your thing. But even when he landed that left, the first one I figured, okay, now back to the drawing board. We do what we came in to do, and we got to protect against that left like we did in the first round and just got caught by something else the way we've been. But he didn't. That's what shook me more than anything. And now I understand great fighters, great teams, whatever it is, get a fluke loss. And I'm not calling this I don't want to say it was a fluke because it's not like he got knocked out in the second round on a lucky punch. He got Garcia more than held his own the entire fight. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So it wasn't a fluke. However, with the way he got beat, are other fighters really going to the drawing board and looking, Tank showed us how to beat him. If we can work on that left, we can get him. Because you've seen other teams, other fighters get locked. Oh, now they went to the drawing board. No, that guy got lucky. Garcia didn't get lucky. You know what I mean? So I want to see if other fighters now from here on out fight Haney that way and make sure they improve their left hook. That was the best left hook I've seen since Frazier. It was crisp, on point, pinpoint every time he threw it. And here's the thing. And they say, when you have it, accuracy will beat power. But he had both. He had both. And when I'm telling you, he was throwing that on a line and hitting the tip of that chin every time he wanted. He didn't. And the crazy part was he didn't go to the well too often. And even when he had him hurt, I don't want to say the fix was in, but I thought he could have went after him harder, and he didn't. You know what I mean? I thought because there was a couple times when the ref was holding him up, and I thought it was going to be a 10-7 round. Ref didn't call it that way in a couple rounds. But that's what shocked me, how Garcia didn't go after Haney more when he had him hurt.
I was getting that's a great point you brought up. Harvey Docks, actually, I was very pleased when I saw he was the referee in the fight because he's pretty good. He let them get away with a lot of holding. Now, I get it. What are you gonna do when you're hurt? That's how you're coached, and you're gonna do. I mean, I don't blame Haney. I'd hold all day long until I'm,
until the ref penalty. Yeah, exactly. I was shocked with the ref. Again, the ref tells him no holding until you get in there and break him up. He's going to hold, right? He's going to hold. Haney was hurt. I get that. That's what you're supposed to do. But Garcia, you were heavier. You were the stronger fighter. You were the bigger fighter. When he was hurt a couple of those times and literally fell into the referee, you should have been able to get him up off you, to get the space to do what you needed to do. You know what I mean? So I will admit the only thing, and again, I'm not a Garcia fan, but I think Garcia was done wrong when they took a point. And the only reason I say that, because you normally get at least one warning, at least one. You know what I mean? He didn't even get that warning. And I wonder, did the ref call that because of the crazy antics Garcia had leading up to the fight? You miss weight. You've disrespected our sport in so many aspects leading up to this. You're not getting the benefit of the doubt of those calls. Because normally when you're at that level, you get at least one or two benefit. Haney got him when he should have been called for a knockdown at least once or twice. You know what I'm saying? There was at least 1 or 2 7 or 10-7 rounds, but the ref gave him the respect and didn't call it that way. I wonder if Garcia didn't get that nod because of the way he disrespected everything and everybody leading up to this fight.
I agree with you. I think based on everything Garcia did right up to when they were face to face in the ring, he did nothing to endear himself to anybody in terms of, like you said, respect to the sport, getting the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. None of that. So I give Garcia full credit for winning the fight. Again, okay, like you said, the person on the streets, but it's only 3.2 pounds, big deal. He made $1.5 million off of it. Haney did. It is a big deal because, I mean, you're talking literally another less than 2 pounds. You're in another weight class.
I know. And the crazy part is, when I think about that, we know gamesmanship. We know talking, getting in each other's face, maybe even nose, maybe push real quick at the press conference. But the way Garcia did it, and I don't even just him talking crazy, whatever have you, but just missing weight by that much. If it had been a pound, he'd have still caught flack because you're disrespecting the sport at this level. But over 3, that's a lot, man. Over 3, that's a lot. That is a lot. It really is. It really is.
Think about it this way: if you told me I can spend $15 to make 100, I'll take the net 85.
Without question.
He gave up 1.5 million. How much did he make in that fight? I don't know, but it's a lot more than 1.5 million.
I know, but here's the thing: stay disciplined.
Yeah.
Make the weight. There was no rehydration clause. Make the weight. Balloon back up to what you balloon back up. Now you got all the accolades. You're down 1.5, but you don't have the crown. That's what you went in there for. You know what I mean? That's why because now the way he looked against Haney was great, but you'd have known if he'd have walked away with that belt, he's able to add more to his next fight.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But again, but not having that belt cost him some money. It cost him some money. It really did.
No question. And, just keys to victory. We touched on a few of these already. Number one, we said he needed to pressure Haney. Well, he did. He did that. So, and if he had the power advantage, if it was legit, exploit it. Yeah, he did. Once he found that left hook and he realized he could land it pretty much, not at will, but when he was pretty strategic about it. But when he threw it, he typically was landing it. He did that. And don't let the moment be too big. He didn't. He kept composed, and you wouldn't have thought with the pre-fight antics that he would have been able to maintain his composure. I thought he did a tremendous job with that because, like you said, should he have went after Haney harder? Yeah, I think he was really concerned about his endurance and his energy, and which blows my mind because you came in overweight anyways, and you rehydrated up to God knows what. I don't understand that, but he did seem to be very cognizant of that. Even though he clearly had an upper hand in several rounds when he got the knockdowns, he didn't necessarily go in for the kill shot or, just the barrage to get the stoppage. He was very cautious, which was odd. And like you said, you could sit. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
You talk about you don't know what he ballooned up to. If you would have told me he was 170 the night of the fight, I'd have believed it. Honestly, I'd have believed it. If you'd have told me 170 or at least 165, if the over-under is 165, I'm going over. If you'd have told me the over-under is 165, I'm going over. And to be honest with you, pressure Haney, he did, like you said, he did that. The power, he had to know he's going to have the power. Because to be honest with you, I'd never considered Haney a power puncher.
No.
He would, because of his volume and his technique, he would wear guys down and get some knockouts, right? So I figured he had, with speed comes power, and I figured, and he knew he was going to be heavier. I figured he thought he had the power, you know. I can't say the moment was too big for him, and I never thought it would have been, because he was in there with Tank. He has been in with some big, so he knew, you know what I mean? I didn't think it would be, but is he okay? I don't know, because here's my thing. If you're going back to 140, you got to make 140. You don't think now everybody who fights him at 140 they're putting a hydration clause back in every contract to see that he didn't make 140, but what he ballooned up to, that hydration clause is going back in. So now I don't know if he's okay, because can he make 140? Can he get into 140 and stay with the hydration clause? Then if you move up, are you moving up to the next weight? Seriously? We'll see. We will see if that's what he does. You know, so I don't know if he's okay, because I don't know what his antics cost him. And I hate to say antics like that, but not making weight is huge, man. I wish I could be in the boxing world, truly in there, to know what the greats are saying. You know, whether it's the promoters and what managers, what they're talking, what do they do? Do they trust him? Can they make another fight for him? I'd like to know how they're viewing him now.
Yeah, those are really good questions. And then now let's jump into that. You know, so what is next for King Rye? Well, how about we make weight next fight? Like you said, let's. I guarantee you, to your point, he ain't getting another fight without a rehydration clause.
No, exactly. Okay, so does he run it back quickly with Haney? Because we saw Haney could outbox him. I don't know if that left hook's still going to have the same power if you can stay at 140. You know what I mean? With their hydration clause. Teofimo Lopez. I like Teofimo. I don't put him in the same category as Haney, as Shakur Stevenson, and a boxer with a skill set. He's grimy. He's tough. You know, he didn't look great in his last fight, but you know what I'm saying in boxing. I'll win this one. I'll look great in the next one. Just win, baby. Yep. So I don't know. Now, if he moves up, he's not ready for Crawford. He's not ready for Crawford.
No. No.
Are you going to put him with Boots Ennis? Ennis has power now. Ennis has power. You know what I'm saying? So where does he go?
That'd be a hell of a fight.
Where does he go? You know what I mean? So it's interesting. And if he moves up to 147, you don't put him in the ring with Crawford yet. I don't think he's ready for Boots and Boots' power and speed. But does he risk taking a fight with a top 5, or does he go 6 to 10 if he moves up?
That's a great question. At his age,
he's still young.
He's still young. And the thing is, based on the MO of a lot of fighters now that are just trying to build the record up and make sure that record stays as clean as it can be. You know, he's got the one blemish against Tank, but
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I would guess he'd take that 6 through 10 fight next. It'll be a name, but it won't be a guy that you think is going to have a hell of a shot of beating him.
You're right, but now go use your mind frame of today's fighters. Don't go back to the 80s where the guy said to be the best, you got to beat the best. Go with today's mindset when you answer this. If you go sick, if you try right now to sign with a Boots Ennis or even a Terrence Crawford, you're going to get beaten out classed. However, the payday, the purse is going to be huge, probably the biggest you've ever seen. You go a 6 to 10 and don't look as good, even if you win, but not as good. Let's hope you don't lose, but if you win, but not as good, you've lost your shot at a Crawford or a Boots Ennis. So how do you play that? You know what I mean? So really, by not making weight, he's put himself in a predicament. There's so many things, you know what I'm saying? There's so many different ways he could go. But if you stay at 140, forget Ryan King Garcia. It is Ryan Hydration Claus Garcia from here on out. You got to believe that. You got to believe that. So we'll see, man. We will see. We'll definitely see, man.
I mean, I agree. I think I like Ennis against him, but I like Haney against him too. But at the same time, I like Boots a lot. And he's a little quicker. He got more power than Haney. Bud, and that he shouldn't be thinking about Bud Crawford.
No.
Shouldn't even, because I'm gonna tell you what, King Rye's chin. I mean, although I'll tell you what, he took some shots from Haney. I mean, Haney delivered some shots, and he held up pretty well. I'll give him that. Although that extra weight helps.
You're right. The extra weight helped tremendously. But when you're talking about a guy like Crawford is precision on the body. I think Crawford could play. Remember the old game Operation when you had to pick it? I think he could wear his actual boxing gloves and still win doing that. I mean, he's pinpoint precision with his body blows. He has already seen gut shot. I don't know if, nice body shot. Will Garcia fight through it? You know what I mean? He didn't the last time when we saw him against Tank. So I don't know, man. But Garcia, are those the most infamous 3.2 pounds that we can ever recall?
I gotta say, I mean, certainly it's a big deal. I got to think about that, because I think it's big in the sense that it put him over the hump against Haney. But to your point, I think he's forced himself now to be his best at the true weight he's supposed to hit. He can't, you can't cheat around it, quite frankly.
Exactly. And like I said, we've seen fighters miss weight half pound to a pound. But when you miss by this much, it throws so many questions. You know what I'm saying? And when a fighter misses by a pound and a half, you get talked about, but other fighters don't so much worry about the hydration clause. They don't say, well, you need to step up. You don't need to step up. Now, there are guys that walk around at 185. They're going down to 147. You might need to start going up a weight class. But that was never the issue with a Garcia or a guy that normally loses 1 pound or a pound off, whatever have you. But we've seen guys over time, he had a tremendous cut. And if you barely make weight or miss weight one or two times, a couple of times in a weight class, then they'll start talking about moving up. But that many pounds and you've never had real issues in making weight, man, I'm interested to see where it goes. Real interested to see what goes.
And before we talk about what's next for Haney, typically, in my view, when you don't make weight, one, you're going to be physically exhausted in trying to get to a weight your body probably physically shouldn't be at anymore.
I know. Yeah.
Two, you trained like garbage and you didn't make weight because you're just not in shape and you're going to get your ass kicked, basically. That wasn't the case.
No, it wasn't.
This was planned and this was strategic. And
then I'm real. Excuse me, my allergies are killing me. That's why I keep getting out. But then if that was his plan, and you're right, because once I saw knowing he missed weight and he was like, screw it, and he's drinking at the weigh-in, whatever have you. If that was planned, I'm interested to see how it goes, because I don't see any of these top fighters now at 140 not putting in a hydration clause. So even if that's what he had planned, I want to see now if his plan goes the way that he had written it down on paper, because I'm interested to see that, man. Real interested.
No doubt. So what's next for Devin Haney? Is it a Garcia rematch? Now you got a question. Well, I guess we'll hit that first. Do you think that's the next fight? I mean, I'm not sure.
If I'm Haney, yes, because number one, I force you to make weight. Yep. Number two, I'm putting in a hydration clause. I'm putting in number three, but I'm not saying it's the third most important. Him and Shakur Stevens, what other fight would be really great at that weight? You know what I mean? You can make it Teofimo Lopez, but I think people want to see, Garcia, can you still punish him like this, making weight? So I say Garcia, if I'm Garcia, because Haney said he wanted to rematch. So, so we want to see if those were his emotions, after first quick loss, or if he still wants it. But to me, if I'm Garcia, I make weight and do the best that I can coming out, making weight, and still putting on that same performance. Because we all know my left hook is not getting any worse. Now it's not getting any worse. I'll lose some of the power, but I'm not losing the quickness.
No.
But Haney, can you adjust and defend it? That's the question. You know what I mean? So if there's a rematch, Haney's going to have a harder time setting the game plan defending that left hook than Garcia is going to have to worry about making it any better because it's already great, you know?
Yeah. Now I say, can he compete? Of course he can compete, but in terms, can he really beat a Tank? Can he beat a Stevenson? Can he, when he runs it back with Garcia, can he beat him again? I mean, in my mind, that it was actually a close fight. We, like I said, we had a 114, 110, but that was really 7 rounds of 5.
Yeah.
And we talked, there were 2 rounds that were dead even.
Could have went either way.
Could have went either way.
And I get that, but now because my thing would be Garcia had the speed, but he didn't have the power he had, missing weight and whatever. So if he makes weight, the speed is still going to be there. Haney's seen speed. He had never seen that power. So will that change in their next one when Garcia is forced to make weight? That's the question.
Well, yeah, I like you, to your point, there's no question it will diminish his power. It'll bring him back down to where he should be, proportionally. And then the other issue is Haney's got to defend that left hook. If he does that, honestly, I think he probably wins this fight 8 rounds to 4. But that's just my view. Maybe 116, 112. It's a Devin Haney win, and off we go.
Now, Haney couldn't have planned or expected the power. He didn't know he was going to come in that heavy, that big. Okay. However, and in the speed, he should have known the speed was going to be there. So is he more worried about the speed or the power in the rematch? Because I knew he knew the speed was there, but will he go in mentally? He, as in Haney, will he go in mentally thinking about the power? Will he still worry about that? Because I think that's why he wants the rematch. He's not worried about the power because he knows if he makes weight, puts in a rehydration clause, he can deal with the speed. I think that power is what did him in. Really, the power.
I don't think there's any doubt. There's realistically, like we said, we don't know what he rehydrated to, and it's late, but it was at minimum 10 pounds, which minimum. I mean,
10? Yeah, like you said, minimum 10. I'll give you that minimum. Minimum 10.
So I just don't. I don't know. I mean, to me, if he struggled with Garcia's power, he's not going to be able to handle Tank. And now Stevenson, I like him against Stevenson anyway. I think they're very similar fighters, and I believe Haney's got more pop than Stevenson. But realistically, I'm still a Devin Haney fan. I would love to see the rematch, like you said, with the rehydration clause. You got to make the weight. And then let's see what happens. And if he's able to roll with him, then, tip of the cap to Garcia, and that's it. You move on. But he's got to have a game plan and not play into his opponent's. I mean, that just,
you're absolutely right. You're right, D. He's got to. But I didn't think Garcia was doing poorly against Tank. I didn't think he was doing poorly.
No, he wasn't.
But then he got hit with that body shot. So I believe against Tank has the power. But again, that's 140, maybe rehydrates to 145, 146 during his bout. That was 165 plus power when he, you know what I'm saying? So I think that makes a distinct difference. So, but you're right. He has to worry about the power. Haney's chin had been questioned to be suspect before. You know what I mean? So of course that's going to be the play and the question if he indeed gets in the ring with Tank. But anybody that gets in the ring with Tank has to worry about that power with no question. No question.
Yeah, you bring up a great point about Garcia. I personally, I've seen a lot of his fights, and I've never seen him really look poorly. I've seen him get caught and get hurt. We've seen that, and certainly the biggest name he had fought was Tank prior to Devin Haney, and he really, it's like, who have you fought? Really, he fought some decent fighters, but let's face it. I mean, Luke Campbell put him on his ass in the second round of that fight. Now, so I was like, So to me, the key for Haney, I think Haney's got to sting him early and put the doubt in Garcia's mind, because Garcia, when he's hurt, we've seen what happens.
Yeah.
So And unfortunately, he just wasn't able to do that. He outboxed him clearly, in my mind, most of the first 5 rounds. But after that, he didn't hurt him.
Yeah. And then, but you think about it this way also. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They go back in and he makes weight. First off, Garcia's already thinking, I dropped this guy once. First time to do anything is always the hardest. So if I dropped him a few times, I could drop him again. Now they get in the ring. So Garcia would have that mental edge, so to speak, whatever have you. And even though he made weight and he makes a hydration clause, still got to be in the back of Haney's head. He dropped me. I've never felt that power. Yeah. So my thing is, who gets to point A first? On that aspect, does Garcia land a powerful left that Haney's like, oh shit, it's not much harder. It's not much difference than what I felt before. Then his mind starts reeling. Or does Garcia start to realize, I hit him with a solid left hook. He didn't budge. My power isn't what it was at 168. What am I going to do? You know what I mean? So mentally, both guys will come in feeling a sort of way. Starting off, Garcia's going to believe, I knocked him down before, I can knock him down again, making weight. Then your boy Haney is feeling he only got lucky. He only beat me because he was overweight. Now, if he's not overweight, I can get him. So both guys are going to have their pros and cons when they run this back, which I'm interested in seeing.
Very interested. Any final thoughts before we wrap this one up, Chops? This is a big fight.
No, man, I'm just ready to see it. I'm looking forward to what we got coming on, but with the next one. But let's run it back. Let's get it in. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, we always appreciate having you, Chops. Now, what's that podcast? Original Sports Podcast?
Yes, the original Sports Podcast with Mark M-A-R-K Meredai, M-A-R-E-D-A-I. Mark, the original Sports Podcast with Mark Meredai. Guys on there, we're based. There's 5 of us, but 4 of us are from Pittsburgh, the small hometown. We all grew up together, just hanging out, wilding, just guys talking sports, having fun with it, man. The other guy is the guy from the DC area. He's a huge Commanders fan. So we just have fun about all sports, man.
Which is cool because as long as your interests don't conflict with each other, you can talk in depth about it because Pittsburgh and Washington are in separate conferences, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because now me, of course, like we said, we talked about, but we disagree on a lot of things, which is cool because, friends, that's a great part about being friends. We can disagree and still, when it's over, laugh and joke. You know what I mean? So we have a good time on it. We have a good time.
Well, that's great, man. Well, thank you for joining us again, Chops. Appreciate you always talking boxing. Love having you on, and we'll look forward to having you again soon, hopefully.
Man, appreciate you having me on. It's always a blast.
All right, so Michael Big Chops Mills, my name is Drew. Take care, everybody. Keep watching boxing. Keep subscribing to the podcast. Subscribe. Click the link. Click the like. Give us some comments. What are your thoughts? Got a couple comments. Couple Garcia fans chimed in after the fight. Of course. But, I'd like to hear some more, definitely, and get your thoughts on what you think's next. So thanks, everybody, again. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. This has been the Sports Peninsula Podcast. To subscribe to the podcast, simply click the subscribe button on our YouTube channel's homepage and give us a like. You can also follow our audio podcast on multiple platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts, just to name a few. Give us a follow on Twitter. Our handle is @SportsPodcast to check out our latest releases. Thank you again for watching and for your support. Remember, when you want to hear all about sports in the great state of Michigan, there is only one Sports Peninsula Podcast.